Well, thank you very much, and thank you all for attending today. My name is Ashif Maji. I'm the board member and past chair for the Edmonton Police Foundation. And today we're going to talk a little bit about ScamShield. That was our Investor Protection Challenge. After an extensive global search with remarkable submissions from countries all over the world, including Thailand and the United Kingdom, I'm thrilled to announce that the winning innovation actually came from a Canadian-based company. Not a surprise. We all love our Canadian innovators, and Stingray was a successful winner of this challenge. You'll hear more about their innovation in a few minutes. The ScamShield Challenge is part of the Community Solutions Accelerator, or the CSA, which is a collaboration between the Edmonton Police Foundation and the Edmonton Police Service, which aims to drive innovation, creativity, in resolving significant crime issues that impact our community. You might recall we tackled things like challenges like the liquor store thefts and the catalytic converter thefts. And both those challenges went really well with great outcomes, great solutions, and we're expecting the same here. This past year, though, we shifted our focus to online threats, targeting the rising menace of online and cryptocurrency scams. In close partnership with the Alberta Securities Commission, we launched the ScamShield Investor Protection Challenge in 2024. This initiative sought new effective strategies against the global surge in online crypto investment fraud. I'd like to extend our deepest gratitude to the Alberta Securities Commission, not only for their essential partnership, but also for the generous cash prize that they're providing for this challenge. And that's what really helped attract numerous high-quality submissions from all around the world. We use the platform again, HeroX, to conduct this challenge. Their support has been invaluable in ensuring the success of this challenge. The Alberta Securities Commission has heightened several prevalent crypto scams that exploit technology and psychological manipulation to deceive investors. Schemes like social media deepfakes, emotionally manipulative romance scams, online financial grooming represent sophisticated yet devastating threats. With Stingray's groundbreaking innovation, we're optimistic about making significant strides in combating these complex scams, enhancing our security of our investors and our broader community. This is a big issue and it's a growing issue, so we are very hopeful that this particular innovation will help, especially Albertans here. Thank you to everyone for their participation and support in this challenge. We look forward to even more dynamic innovations ahead. Thank you again for joining us today.
And thank you so much, Ashif, and we'll pass it on now to Ron Anderson.
Good morning, and thank you to the Edmonton Police Foundation and Alberta Securities Commission for joining us here today. And a big congratulations to our first place winner of the latest Community Solutions Accelerator Challenge, Stingray Security. This announcement is also very timely as October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month and Investor Education Month. Every day, police respond to victims of crime who suffer great pain and loss, and fraud victims are no different. From 2024 to 2025, the Edmonton Police Service saw frauds such as counterfeiting increase over 85%, while other frauds such as credit card and identity theft increased about 10 to 20% from the previous year. So far in 2025, we have already seen over 4,000 occurrences, which equate to almost $50 million in frauds overall, but we know that number is most likely much higher. Investment scams remain one of the most prevalent forms of fraud, accounting for millions in reported losses each year and consistently ranking among the top scam categories targeting consumers. In 2024, investment scams accounted for over 14 million across 211 reports and 243 victims. This trend continues this year. At the end of August, that number was already over $4 million. Every year, the growing number of victims and losses from online investment scams remains a significant concern. This speaks to the ruthless and unrelenting way in which fraudsters target their victims. They build trust and eventually they take advantage of that trust. As technological developments present more opportunities, criminals find increasingly creative ways to exploit individuals. They're continuously refining their methods to take advantage of a digital economy. We know that all forms of fraud are vastly underreported, with only 5 to 10% of fraud victims reporting their experiences. So the true dollar amount could actually be in the hundreds of millions. Understandably, many people are too traumatized or embarrassed to report these crimes to police, so they keep these incidents secret. They live in shame when the reality is that any one of us could be a victim of fraud. Cryptocurrency, while not an illegal form of currency, has grown in popularity and become a favorite tool for scammers due to its anonymity and the difficulty in tracking transactions once they've been completed. Once a transaction is complete, it cannot be stopped, and recovering funds is rare. This, paired with the emotional and psychological manipulation tactics scammers often employ, makes it easier to take advantage of people. Many victims lose substantial amounts of money by mistakenly believing they're engaging in legitimate transactions. Beyond financial fraud, can strip victims of their dignity, trust, and even their sense of security. For some, the impact may take a lifetime to overcome. We need to encourage victims to report to police, share their experiences, and help raise awareness to prevent this from happening to others. One of the best ways to counter fraud is to talk about it so we all know how to spot the signs. Police and our partners like the Alberta Securities Commission will continue to investigate and pursue these criminals to the fullest extent, but we can't tackle this alone. Fraud can happen to anyone, anywhere, and that's why we're here today. Fraud prevention requires a collective effort. As you'll see from Stingray Security's presentation, their innovative solution protects users by using advanced technology to instantly flag and block phishing sites and fake investment platforms in real time before a user becomes victimized. Innovative ideas like this have the potential to tackle this issue nationwide. We appreciate the foundation for putting on this challenge, and a big congratulations to Stingray Security for their innovative solution. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ron. And now we'll pass it on to Hillary.
You bet. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Good morning. My name is Hillary Beacon. I lead communications and investor education with the Alberta Securities Commission, and I'm so pleased to be participating here today. When the ASC partnered with the Edmonton Police Foundation and the Edmonton Police Service on ScamShield and Investor Protection Challenge, we had no preconceived notion of what kind of solutions would be proposed as part of this challenge. We created the challenge because, like Ron was saying, we've been seeing a significant increase in fraud, and we believe that it will take the financial sector, enforcement agencies, academics, and those in technology, all of us working together to address it. This challenge was an opportunity for all of these groups and more to come together to propose new and novel ways to stop further victimization. Unfortunately, fraudsters can leverage technology, social media, and other online tools to connect with and lure potential victims. We also know that many everyday Albertans and Canadians continue to feel financial pressure and may be looking for new ways to bring money in to make ends meet. The result is that more and more money is being fraudulently obtained by scammers, leaving too many victims in their wake. The impact is serious, and Ron mentioned this too. Canadians are losing millions, which impacts their lives in very, very significant ways. It also means that all that hard-earned money is leaving our province and our country instead of contributing to making our economy stronger. According to the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre, $310 million was reported lost to investment fraud alone in 2024. This accounts for nearly half of all fraud reported to the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre that year. You may be wondering how this happens. So I just want to take a moment to share the story of an anonymous individual that reported being the victim of an investment scam. For the purposes of this story, we'll call this person Chris. In January 2025, Chris saw an ad on Facebook for an investment opportunity that used AI to guarantee profits on an initial investment of $250. After Googling the company name, Chris saw posts that indicated the company was legitimate and went ahead with the initial investment. Following that investment, Chris was then connected to another individual claiming to work for an international investment company that could trade on European and Asian markets, with a promise that they could increase Chris's profits. After building some trust, the individual used remote access software and gained control of Chris's computer to help set up the account that would be used to transfer money. And over the next 2 months, the fraudster took significant time to build rapport with Chris through regular communications to further legitimize the investment opportunities. Chris was convinced by the scammer to transfer a total of roughly $61,000 in separate increments to the investment company. The individual from the investment company coached Chris that they could expect to hear from their bank about the transactions and to avoid answering their questions. Chris was provided with phrases they could use when speaking with bank employees who would reach out because they were rightly suspicious of the transactions. The scammer then introduced a new project that would require a higher investment level to buy in, but also the potential for even greater profits. Believing in the opportunity because of the success they had already, Chris has followed the scammer's instructions to cash out their GICs and TFSAs, and was once again provided with language to use to get around the bank's security protocols. In this process, they transferred roughly a further $130,000. The following month, the fraudster claimed that a cyber attack had locked all of Chris's accounts and that they needed to provide further payment, in essence a fee, in order to access their account funds. By this time, Chris had depleted their savings, and they were relying on loans to try to recover the supposed money in the investment. Despite transferring a further $45,000, it was never enough. Unfortunately, Chris's money was actually gone. It had gone to international locations where it wasn't reachable by any Canadian enforcement agencies. Chris had fallen victim to a very organized and professional scammer, the impact of which has been devastating. I think it's important to emphasize that Chris is a victim of a very sophisticated effort by fraudsters, who are, I think, the miscreants of our capital markets. Chris and their family have been harmed financially and emotionally, just as Ron said. This is just one story of many that we hear too often, one that highlights the importance of agencies like ours working together with law enforcement and other agencies, innovators, and others to actively address investment fraud. There isn't one silver bullet, so to speak, that can protect investors like Chris. Investor protection is a multi-pronged approach, and it requires a full spectrum of tools, from enforcement action where possible to building awareness of these kinds of scams because they're happening far too frequently, and providing tools that help investors pause and do some further research before they give over their money or give access to their computer. The ASC's enforcement division regularly collaborates with police services, RCMP, and other securities regulators on key issues and challenges. What we learn from our own enforcement-related work and those of our partners helps inform our investor education efforts. Recognizing and addressing the issue of online investment scams must be a collaborative effort, and that is why the ASC came together with UPF and EPS for ScamShield, Investor Protection Challenge. And I'm so proud to be here today as we share more information about the winning concept, which is a new tool created by Stingray Security, as you've heard. As I mentioned, an important part of our mandate at the AAC is to provide Albertans with unbiased tools and resources to empower Alberta investors to make informed investment decisions and to recognize, avoid, and report investment fraud. There are many resources available on our Check First website, and most importantly, we will make accessible the Stingray solution. Stingray complements the resources that we have on checkfirst.ca, and I'm pleased that it is another tool investors can use in their toolbox to safeguard their money and verify the legitimacy of online investment platforms and opportunities. And now I'm absolutely pleased to introduce the co-founders, or to turn it back to introduce the co-founders of Stingray Security. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Hillary. And thank you for sharing Chris's story. I think that's really powerful. Now I will pass it off to Stingray Security, so Andrew and Ian.
Morning, everyone. My name is Andrew. I'm one of Stingray's co-founders. I'm actually a lawyer in Vancouver. Here with me is Ian McKinnon, Stingray's other co-founder. He's the Chief Technology Officer. Ian and I first met when we were at the University of Waterloo, one of Canada's innovation hubs. So he followed a tech path. He's a veteran computer scientist. I work with business leaders, but we both have made a career out of solving problems. First, right off the top, our huge thanks to Ashiv, to Ron, to Hillary, for framing the problem here today, seeing it's both globally a multi-billion-dollar problem, but also a deeply personal one, as Hillary was just mentioning. We also really appreciate the support of the Alberta Securities Commission, the Edmonton Police Service, the Edmonton Police Foundation. Their support for innovation has been invaluable. They're incentivizing a broad community approach to tackle the problem. So we're going to talk a little bit about how we approach solving this problem, and then a little bit about what Stingray is actually doing about it. So just give me half a second here, and I will get us loaded up with a little bit of a background, and then we will go. All right. So Stingray Security is a made in Canada product. It's developed to stop online scams before they happen. We appreciate there's many billions of dollars being deployed to fight this global problem, and we know it's an all hands on deck approach. Where we chose to focus was on prevention, particularly at the individual level. We knew we needed to develop a product that focuses on prevention, stopping scams before somebody hands over funds, before they provide sensitive information, before they even click on the wrong link. We also knew that whatever the solution was needed to be hassle-free. It needs to be ridiculously easy to be able to use, to install, and we'll show you a little bit about how that works shortly. We also knew, of course, that it needs to be cost-effective. The tools we're going to show you today are all completely free, and they're going to stay that way for every individual user. Anybody's going to be able to go and download and use this product tomorrow, during the call, if you'd like. So without further ado, let's have a look at what Stingray does here. So up first is a tool that helps flag risky links that are sent by email. Let me take a bit of a step back first. So Stingray currently works as what's called a browser plugin. It's a small piece of software that's integrated directly into the web browser. So you might have heard of plugins like Google Translate, Grammarly, AdBlock. There's any number of password managers. We decided to start with Google Chrome, as that's the browser that has, according to some reports, more than 65% of the world's browser market share. So we wanted to start by protecting as many people as possible. It's part of a longer discussion. We can talk about that a little bit later today as to why it's important for cybersecurity to work directly in the browser. Generally speaking, though, that's where most online threats attempt to reach users. Browsers are the gateway to nearly all online transactions, so they're really the front line to defending that sensitive data. Now, what you'll see on the screen here is a Gmail or a Google Workspace account that has been accessed through a Google Chrome browser. It's very common. A lot of folks use this for work these days. And of course, this is a simulated email that's come in, and you can see it's marked urgent. Got to get your payroll form in on time. Of course, with the implication that if you don't, financially, you're going to be in a little bit of trouble. It's definitely a hallmark of a scam. Scammers often try to get their victims to move quickly, throwing them off balance before they can take their time and sort out that this might be a problem. Now, if you have this email received with Stingray activated, you can hover over the link, and without clicking on the link, we can show you what we think the link is going to do. So you can see the small indicator right next to the URL. It's flagged this is what we call orange. We use a stoplight system. Green means go, orange or yellow means take caution, red means full stop. In this case, we're flagging the website as suspicious, and if you hover over, you'll actually see the little pop-up that says why. In addition to any other issues, this site was only registered relatively recently. It's a common hallmark of a scam website. Scam websites don't last very long, thanks in great part to the hard work of folks like the police and the Securities Commission, making sure that those scammers are caught and the websites are taken down. Something coming up that's new, it tends to say, wait a minute, this one might be something that's a scam. So this hover over check is going to work with any links that are received in email. So whether that's website links like this, whether that's buttons, even images, if they're hyperlinks, you can hover over them and you get a quick picture of whether this is something that is safe or not. We like to joke that this is the end of the phishing test that your work is going to have on you, because you'll always get to see if it's something that's going to cause you a problem. And I mentioned that this is accessed through a browser. Now, Chrome is Google's. This example we're using is a Google product, but this, if you're accessing your email through your browser, it can work with any email product. It can work with Outlook. It can work with Hotmail. I mean, somebody sent me an email from a Yahoo mail address recently. Stingray is even going to work in there as long as you're accessing it through your browser. So we'll move on for a second. I mentioned it's a stoplight system. We're going to have a look in a moment at what a red version is going to look like. So similar email, almost identical, but now we've gone and we see that Stingray has actually heightened the warning. This site has been reported by malicious. Now, we can get into it later, but there's many factors we use to take into account the grading of a website. But one of the things that will flip this into the red category is if any of the Canadian securities administrators, including our friends at the Alberta Securities Commission, refer to the domain on their investment caution list. That is to say, we're building on the hard work of the investigators at our securities commissions, deploying that information to help protect Canadians in real time. All right. We're going to take a bit of a quick detour getting out of the browser shortly. And we're going to get to the iPhone. In researching how threats reach their victims, we can't escape the fact that the first interaction might be somewhere out of a desktop browser, might be on a mobile device. Here we see somebody offering great returns on investment through a site called lookstory.biz. And if you're a potential victim, maybe you're going to get that text, and if you're going to fall for it, you're going to go to your browser, you're going to go in, you're going to say, okay, well, I'm going to go check out this lookstory.biz, and I'm going to find my excellent overpromised returns. Now, I'm going to pause for a quick second here. If you've taken any cybersecurity awareness training at all, and we all have at this point, you've already noticed that there's quite a few hallmarks that a potential victim has already ignored. Unsolicited text from strangers, unrealistic returns on investment, websites that have unusual top-level domains like .biz, right? So, and even if we go to, well, let's see where it takes us to a website that looks strikingly similar to another more popular website, being Facebook. All these are hallmarks of the scam. But this is where Stingray comes in. Even if the potential victim has missed all of the telltale signs, we are right there in the browser helping keep them safe. In this case, you can see that the password field has been flagged orange. It means this is one of the websites that we flagged suspicious, and we're actually going to initially prevent the user from typing into the password field. When you hover over, you can see the warning is why, same as we could when reading links in an email. And the reason we stop people from typing the password is because scammers can deploy keyloggers to see what you're typing, even if you don't hit enter. So that our protecting that stops victims from falling for that particular trap. Okay. Now, I did mention it's a stoplight system. We've seen orange, we've seen red. It's not all bad news. We do want to quickly show you a green light example here. This is actually a lot what it would look like if you went to the real Facebook. You just have a little green logo, and if you hover over it, it can tell you why we think it's green. In this case, that it's a very popular website. It has a very high page rank. Now, one last thing before we close up. At the start of the demo, I mentioned that Stingray needs to be ridiculously easy to use in order to be effective, but that also means ridiculously easy to access. We look at Stingray as being used by many different people. It could be adult children installing it to keep their parents or grandparents safe. It could be regular children installing it to keep their parents or grandparents safe. It could be parents installing it to protect their children, employers to protect their employees, and so on. We'll take just another 25 seconds to show you how it works. We start in Google. We look for the Google Chrome store. There you go. The first link is going to take us right to the Google Chrome store. A quick aside, the next wave of scams, what's coming in the future is scammers set up nearly identical websites, but they're scams, then they buy Google ads to increase the ranking in the Google search results. This is called malvertising. We're working on protecting that threat too. Ideally, we're going to get to the point where we can hover over links on ads, just that you saw an email. We're working on that one. But in this case, we're going to the Chrome store. We very quickly just type in Stingray. You'll see that our only other competitor for Stingray in the Chrome store is something called Corvette Stingray Live Wallpaper. Different target markets, I guess. And then you very quickly get to Stingray, you click on it, and all you have to do is click the Add Chrome button, and that is it. Now, the reason I'm walking through the demo, obviously to show you how easy it is, but also to point out that we're not looking for any passwords. We're not looking for these credit card numbers. We're not looking for these email addresses even. It's a conversation for another time. We're taking privacy seriously as we're trying to make sure that people have access to this as easily as possible. Anyways, that's it for us for our demo. Stingray Security is now available, so anybody can access it.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.